y'all don't really want it like that. Yeah, here comes the.
Yo, what is going on, everybody? What's going on, YouTube? What's going on, Team Steezy family? It is your boy. It's your host, Calvin Domingo, a.k.a. Steezy A. Smith. I know it's a Monday. I know it's not the brightest day of the week. And so, I'm going to do what I can to try to make you guys' Mondays go a little more smooth, go a little more fun. Joining me today, I'm going to have two very, very, very important guests. I like to call them V.I.Gs. For those of you guys who do not know, I didn't say VIPs. I said V.I.G. Very important guests with me. Both these guys are probably considered the voices, the faces of Seattle sports. And so you guys might know both of them. I haven't had any of them on the channel yet. I've been working diligently to get them both on the channel. And so today, to have them on a Monday, man, just an absolute, it's crazy, man. I mean, I told them before the show, like, yo, thanks. I know both of y'all are busy, and so thanks for taking the time. We'll get into that just shortly. But like I had in the title, I want to talk Drew Lock. I don't know if you guys watch press conferences and whatnot. I know they're not the most fun, but Drew Lock had his first public appearance as a member of the Seattle Seahawks this morning at the VMAC, and I thought he made a plethora of interesting comments. I want to get to know your guys' thoughts, not only on that, but also on some of our free agent additions. I know I've talked on the channel about how I wanted to talk about, Uchenna Owusu and Quentin Jefferson and Noah Fant and Shelby Harris and some of these other guys that the Seattle Seahawks have brought on board. And so at least I'm going to have a little bit of help in doing that today. I got two very, very smart men with me doing that. I want to talk Trent Brown and, him reportedly spending the entire weekend in Seattle only to spurn us to go back to the Patriots. What are Seattle's options at number 9 overall? Is Seattle just going to pull a very Seattle move and trade back? And then last but not least, very early predictions for Seattle's record next year. Are the playoffs feasible? I understand the NFC is in its weakest state and I don't know how long. And so I know a lot of people are saying that Seattle is rebuilding. There's no way that Seattle can make the playoffs, but I don't know. I mean, I think with the way that this team is structured, with how Pete and John, they're very player oriented, right? And so we've seen time and time again with certain organizations, and I know the Dolphins from a couple years ago with Brian Flores. This definitely, I feel like they could be used as an example. I mean, they went 5-11 in 16 games with a very talent deficient roster, and so I don't know, the way that I look at the Seahawks right now, we might not have the most talent in the room. But what I can tell you is that we're going to be feisty. What I can tell you is that we're going to play hard. And what I can tell you is that we're going to be a team that nobody wants to play. Now, before I bring on our very special guest, I do want to address some of y'all in the comments. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Let's see who's in here. Golden Seahawk, Colin, what's going on, my man? How you doing? Not Chief, what's up, Steezy? Go Hawks. Go Hawks. Yes, sir. Always. Amanda Shepard, you was in here early, so I want to say, thanks for sticking around. Yo, what's up, Steezy? Disney Adventure Vlog. Happy Monday/Tuesday. It is Tuesday in some parts around the world, so I think I know where you're going there. My man, Nick LeBeau. How you doing, Nick? Thanks for taking the time to join us. Andrew, we know Locke isn't our guy. We will get another quarterback to lead us to the promised land. Hey, we about to chop it up in a little bit, so we'll see what the guys think. And then Jeremiah O'Brien. So, bro, I know you've been waiting for a while too, so thanks for being patient. The dude. What up, dude? What's going on, bro? Thanks for always showing up and tapping in. I know you've been, a big supporter for a long time now, so, to me, that really means a lot. Thank you. My man, Payo, so Steezy, what's going on, bro? Thank you so much for joining us. Definitely got to be one of my favorite Rams fans, so you're definitely somebody I could put up with, despite the team that you root for, but neither here nor there. Jack Turner, did you see Brady Henderson put in an article today saying it doesn't indicate Seattle's high enough on any of the quarterbacks in this class to take round 1? I actually did read that. I was actually just reading a couple of articles before, kicking this show off. And yeah, that was one of the things I picked up on, and I wouldn't be opposed to it, honestly. Sith, Locke is all right. Yeah, I think he got a little bit of potential. My Falcon fan friends over here in Georgia are feeling like us got traded since Matt Ryan got traded. We could probably touch on that in a little bit. Matt Ryan, 519 Adventures, sub Steezy. What's going on, bro? Thanks for tuning in. And then we'll address that later on. Also, we'll address that, Payo. You're too kind, but likewise. Seahawks Eddie, what's going on, bro? Okay. All right, y'all. Let me turn on the music real quick though, just because I feel like we need to add a little bit of spice before I bring these guests on. How are we feeling today? Okay. All right, y'all. And then before I bring these guys on, I do want to put up a little something that I found not funny, but I think it's a great sign for Drew Lock moving forward. Let's chill on the Drew Lock slander. Okay. All right. So without further ado, let me remove that. Our first V.I.G. of the day, former Seattle Seahawks wide receiver. And actually just found this out today, but we from the same hometown. He was born in Honolulu, Hawaii. I was born in Honolulu, Hawaii. My city, his city. We share the same city. Current 710 ESPN / Seattle Sports. I know they kind of had a little bit of a rebranding. Root Sports Analyst, football / sports trainer. Please welcome V.I.G. number 1, Mr. Michael Bumpus, to the show.
Steez, what up, man?
Hey, how you feeling, Bump?
Hey, I feel good, man. Happy to be here talking sports, which you've been watching what you do over the last, year or so. I kind of been tapping in, so happy to be on the show with you, man.
Hey, I forgot to add, you're one of the voices of Seattle sports. And so to hear that from you, I'm not taking that lightly. That really means a lot. And like I said before the show, I've been working to get you on and our next guest on. So, real thankful for your time. And without further ado, our second guest, Mr. Brian Abker, former KJR Sports radio host. Maybe he's not the voice of Seattle sports anymore, but he definitely used to be. I mean, I tried to introduce him to Mr. Bump here before the show even began. He told me that he already knew him. And so I felt like I was like, damn, like they do each other, like sheesh. But without further ado, please welcome Mr. Brian Abker.
What up, fellas? It's great to be on with both of you guys. I have a lot of admiration for both of you. Bump, you and I have that kindred Coug spirit, and of course, you being a former Seahawk, that means a lot to a Seattle sports fan like me. And Steezy, I've said this a million times, dude. You are a rising star. You've got so much get up and go and energy and work ethic. It's incredible. So to watch you rise has been phenomenal.
And like the OGs used to tell me, I got to be a sponge. You know what I mean? And so when you guys are saying different things like that, I really I can't take it lightly. And again, thank you so much. The first thing I do want to ask you guys before we get in, Drew Lock, he had his first press conference as a member of the Seattle Seahawks earlier today. I asked Bump this before the show, but Brian, did you have a chance to peep that?
Yeah, I watched a little bit of it.
Okay, what about Pete and John's from last week?
Yeah, I saw both those.
You saw both of those? Okay. Well, let's just get right into it. So I know a lot of Seattle Seahawks fans are kind of against, Drew Lock, and they don't think that he can be the successor to Russell Wilson in Seattle. A lot of fans are kind of angling for a Baker Mayfield or a Malik Willis in the draft. Before he got traded to the Colts, Matt Ryan was an option. So, Bump, I'm going to start with you. How much faith, how much belief do you have in Drew Lock, and is that to the same level as a Pete and John?
How much do I have in him? A little bit, because I watched the film. The kid can throw the football. He's mobile enough. He's made some plays, but he's also made some horrible decisions. And that's what it comes down to in the league, right? Everybody can throw, everybody can run, everybody can jump, especially at the quarterback spot. What's your decision-making like? So how much faith do I have in him? I have as much faith in him as I would have as a rookie quarterback that got drafted in the second or third round, which is exactly who he is, right? I expect there to be some lows. I expect there to be some highs because of the people that he has around him. He still got DK, Lockett. They just signed Rashad Penny. See what happens with that offensive line. But I'm not as hyped as John and Pete. But what do we expect out of John and Pete? To come out there and say, I don't know, guys. Maybe this is the guy. We'll see. Nah, they got to come out there and they got to sell it. Russell gone. He in Denver. Russell is gone. You got to come out and make people want to sit down and watch these games. And I believe in Schneider, right? Schneider, he was high on Josh Allen. He was high on Pat Mahomes. Like, he has an eye for QB talent. But there's a dance that always happens with this, man. You can never, and I think we learned this the last 2 years, you can never believe an athlete 100% when he steps in front of the camera and says, I want to be here forever. And you can never completely believe management when they say, we're going to have this guy here, or we truly believe in it. Because it's a business. That people got to understand that it's a business. So I trust in Drew Lock as much as I do a first-year rookie, second or third round. I believe in Schneider's ability to evaluate quarterbacks. I just never know if they be in 100 with us or not.
Hey, facts. I mean, but what else do you expect from Mr. Bump himself, right? Brian, what do you think?
Yeah, well, it's interesting to hear Bump, talk about that from a perspective of having been in the league, and it's so true. You can't believe everything you hear coming out of the mouths of the athletes or the management or anybody else for that matter, because there's a game to be played. It's a business. As far as Drew Lock goes, I'm going to say this. First of all, I like DK coming out and saying, "Hey, enough of the slander." Just trying to show some loyalty, or maybe he's just trying to get on his good side to get some more balls. I don't know, but either way, I like it. My thing is, the more Drew Lock is throwing the football, the worse he is. Now, that will bode well for what Pete Carroll wants to do with him, which is make him a game manager. That's what Pete Carroll's ideal football is. Run the football, control the football, don't turn the football over. And if Drew Lock ends up being the starter at any point in time for this team, that's exactly what Pete Carroll's going to do. So he's not going to be expected to throw the ball a lot, which is good for Drew Lock. He's got a big arm, but he's not that accurate. He's pretty quick. He can run. He can get out of trouble a little bit. But as far as him being the long-term solution to this team, absolutely not. That's not going to happen. He might be a stopgap for this next coming year, but the Seahawks will probably draft a quarterback this year. They'll probably go out and try to get another free agent to create that competition, that Pete has talked about his entire career here. But I wouldn't expect Drew Lock to be your Seattle Seahawks next starting quarterback that you can really get behind.
Wow. Okay. Well, so Baker Mayfield, this is a name that's been brought up, around the quarterback carousel. We know his time in Cleveland is going to be limited. It's only a matter of when, not if, as it pertains to him, leaving Cleveland. What do you guys think about a Baker Mayfield coming to Seattle? For me, I'll start. I'm not super enamored with that idea. I like the idea of him being an underdog and him having been, a walk-on, over at Oklahoma or over in college. And so he plays with the chip on his shoulder, right? I would love that in Seattle. I feel like that would mesh well. I just don't know how he would fit in the locker room. And on top of that, having to pay for his next contract, I don't know. Seattle's very keen on that. Am I tripping, Bump, or what do you got to say?
I'm a Baker Mayfield fan in the sense that what you just mentioned, walk on, overachiever, made it to the league. I never hate on another man who made it to the league. You do your thing. But now about him coming to Seattle, I mean, if he comes to Seattle, he's going to expect to start and he's going to want a second contract, right? Is this the guy you think is going to take the Seahawks back to who they once were for 10 years? I just don't think so. You hear about his immaturity and all that. I get all that, but I just watch him play. In the fourth quarter, he's one of the worst quarterbacks in the fourth quarter. He can get you to a certain point, but he ain't going to win ball games for you. You got to talk about who you're replacing. I'm probably going to say this like 3 or 4 times during this whole deal. You're replacing Russell Wilson. You don't bring in a guy who's already been a starter, who's had 4 or 5 years to try to get it right, to bring in here and to replace him. You got to go with a Drew Lock type of guy, a guy that fans are going to accept losing. If Drew Lock comes out here and he's not very good, we're going to be like, yeah, that's what we thought. But if Baker Mayfield comes in here and you give up a couple draft picks, you got to pay for his contract. You're investing all this in him. You're going to expect, or the fans are going to expect, to want to win right now. So I think you got to keep expectations realistic for these people. Baker Mayfield's not the answer. He's a tough dude. Week 2, he tears his labrum or shoulder or something like that. He toughs it out. I'm all for that. Not saying he's not a decent quarterback, but situations are different. And for the past 10 years, the Seahawks fans are used to winning. So if you're not going to win, you save your draft capital, you save your money, you're bringing someone who's going to be serviceable for a year. And like B said, maybe draft another quarterback in the following year, you try to get it done. Baker might be a good dude. He might win a couple ball games, but you're looking to go to playoffs and win championships. If you can't do that, you settle for a kid with not a lot of experience and you take your lumps.
Brian, so before we go to you, Bump, I do want to address some of the points that you made. So you know how Pete and John, they've been on record saying that, we're not rebuilding. I guess they've used words along the lines of we're retooling. With the Baker Mayfield, are you saying that he would cap Seattle's ceiling, and even though he would deliver wins in year 1, he wouldn't ultimately bring a championship to Seattle?
Exactly. He's not the long-term solution. And I think that's what you're looking for. You're looking for the short term for the next year or so. Then after that, it's long-term. You bring Baker in, you're saying, all right, man, we're going to give up a bunch of stuff to get this dude. Mm-hmm. Kill all that noise. All right, you've already got rid of Russell. You got some draft picks. Take your lumps, Seattle. It's going to be tough, but trust me, take your lumps.
And real quick, Brian, before you go out, like I always like to say, sometimes you got to take a step backward to move 2 steps forward, right? And so if that results in Seattle finishing with the top 3 pick in the draft next year, then so be it. But Brian, what say you?
Yeah, it's interesting. First of all, I like Baker Mayfield as a dude to watch. He's spectacular in his commercials. He's got a real knack for playing that part, and I like him. Just not as my quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks. It doesn't make sense for either side, really. First of all, if you're Baker Mayfield, you don't want to come into a place and be the man after the man. Nobody wants to do that. It just does. He's not going to be able to set a legacy coming in immediately following Russell Wilson. And if you're the Seahawks, you're going to go out and you're going to trade for a guy, and you're going to give up equity for a guy that's not actually under an extended contract, and then you're going to risk on how much he's going to want, and you're going to risk not knowing exactly if he's the guy that can lead you to where you want to go. It just doesn't make sense, and I don't think that it's going to happen. If it does, I would be extremely shocked. So Baker Mayfield's not the guy either. And you're right, Steez. I agree. You got to take a couple steps back sometimes to get yourself to move forward, as Paul Abdul would say, 1 step forward, 2 steps back. But the thing that I like about the situation now is that Pete and John have been through this before. They took this team when they first got here, and they broke it down and they built it up. The reason they're saying it's not a rebuild is because Pete Carroll knows that he doesn't have a lot of time left in his coaching career. He's definitely on the back 9, probably on the last 17, 18, and 19 holes. And his long term is actually short term, to your point, Bumpus, because you're right. You do got to be thinking long term, but their long term is a lot shorter than what most people would consider to be a long term thought process.
Wow. I feel like a lot of fans are really divided. I'm hearing a lot of people saying, "Oh, bring in Baker Mayfield. We're not rebuilding. Let's start getting W's now." And so for me, if we didn't have to pay him, then I wouldn't mind giving up like a 3rd-round pick, a 4th-round pick, seeing what he can do, just because we've seen the highest of highs in Baker Mayfield's career, and that led to a playoff victory for Cleveland. And so to me, that shows that when the situation is optimal around him, when he has a coaching staff, when he has receivers, a run game, a defense, he's able to capitalize. Maybe like we were talking about earlier, but maybe not to the tune of a Super Bowl eventually, but in terms of making it to the playoffs, winning playoff games, I mean, I like what that is. I like what he does, at least in that regard. But with the contract situation, the age, he's 27 years old. You'd have to give up capital. For me, it's a no. Let me see. Somebody said something in the chat. Okay, so that dude, this is what he said about Baker. Would they really be giving up a lot to get Baker? I feel that Cleveland has no leverage here. They're going to want to ship that $19 million cap hit to someone else, and they're going to have to pay to do so. Well, I don't want to spend too much time talking about Baker, so we're actually going to pivot towards Drew Lock again. So with Drew Lock, right? Like I talked about in the beginning of the show, Pete and John, they had a presser last week, and they kept talking about second chances. They brought up Drew Lock and how he is going to have the opportunity for a fresh start, fresh coaching staff, fresh talent around him. Bump, I'm going to start with you. Do you think a fresh start or a new change of scenery, is that really it? I know Brian touched on, his inaccuracies and whatnot, and how he's still kind of raw as a quarterback, but do you think a fresh start or a new change of scenery, would that do him justice?
It could, it could. There's nothing like going to a new city. You got a new coach, different expectations. Your mind changes, your vibe changes. It could help him. I'm not going to sit here and just pigeonhole the kid and say, look, we've seen what he's done the last couple of years. That's who he is. Let's move on. But you have to take that into consideration. But sometimes I don't think it's as simple as just showing up to a new place. But then when they say stuff like that, it makes me believe that as a coaching staff, they see something and they think they can bring it out of them. And sometimes that's all you need as an athlete, right? You need one coach to take a chance on you. Like, I wouldn't even made it to the league if the Hawks didn't even take a chance on me, right? I had 2 or 3 other teams who wanted to take a look, but the Hawks were like, boom, we're going to give you a chance, an opportunity. And I think they think that if they pump that belief in him, and sometimes you can have dudes playing out of their mind. Why do you think we watch March Madness and see all these upsets? Because sometimes you get in the right situation, the right things are said to you, the vibes are right, and you play out of your mind. Now, that's March Madness. That's a tournament. It's a little snippet. We're talking about the NFL, right? Can they elevate this kid to the next level? I think a change of scenery is going to help, because obviously things weren't right in Denver. He comes out his first year, plays well. Second year, COVID, Teddy comes in, beats him out. Like, he went through some stuff. And was he truly able to develop? Probably not. because I think that they pigeonholed the kid and then they moved on quickly. But there's a reason for everything. There's a reason he couldn't beat out Teddy Bridgewater. There's a reason they set him down. So a change of scenery could help. But at the end of the day, can you lead? Can you read a defense? Can you throw the football? Can you take care of the football? Change of scenery ain't going to do that for you. And it rains out here. It don't rain like that in Denver. So that change of scenery might hurt him.
At 100%. Sheesh. Brian?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of examples of quarterbacks that have had a change of scenery that have flourished, and I really can't come up with too many. Ryan Tannehill would come to mind. Maybe Jameis Winston, based on what we saw out of him with the Saints. There may be another one out there that I'm missing, and if you guys think of it, let me know. But change of scenery, as Bumpus said, is good, and it can help. But in the end, it's all about what you have in your skill bank and in your mind. Now, you've got positive Pete and you've got practical Pete. We never see practical Pete, ever. We see positive Pete. If he saw me throw the football, he thinks he's such a great coach. He could go, I can work with that guy. I can make him into something. That's Pete Carroll. That's what we love about these coaches. They're like surgeons. They've got a God complex. They think they can make stuff happen. They can turn bad dudes around in the NFL and make them good guys because they want to see this guy who's an excellent athlete be a success on their team. And yeah, he's caused some problems off the field, but this coach, they can change him. Same thing with guys that are struggling in the NFL that have potential. Every coach thinks they can change a guy. That doesn't always happen.
Hey, well said from a couple of OGs. I don't want it to sound like I'm defending Drew Lock, but just because everyone's been so down on him, I kind of want to, change that a little bit. And so we've heard Pete and John, right, talk about, his first 5 starts, he went 4-1. I think on third down, he had a pass rating of like 117.8. He had a 7-3 touchdown to INT ratio. And overall, they did pretty well. The Denver Broncos, his rookie year, considering the fact that he was coming off thumb surgery. And so he didn't get to play until the last, the final stretch of the season. What do you guys make of, Pete and John kind of hyping up Drew Lock? Is that just lip service? Is that just coach speak? Or do they actually believe in him? Because like we talked about earlier, or Bump, I think you brought this up, John Schneider spent time with Drew Lock at the combine. He had conversations with Pete and John. Pete even talked about potentially trading up for a Drew Lock. And so is this more just a combination of coach speak / lip service, or is there a little bit more to it than people might think?
Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah. I would like to know what's behind those numbers. Like you mentioned, his passer rating and completion percentage on third down. What kind of passes were these? And what was the average yards per pass? Were these dump passes, swing passes, shovel passes? Were these things that are easy? What was the conversion rate? Was it 3rd and 1? Was it 3rd and 20? What were the numbers? That'll give you more context behind how good he really was on third down. Now, I'm not saying that he wasn't, because listen, the kid can play football, obviously. He got a scholarship to college. He was a star in college. He got drafted high in the NFL. He just hasn't made it in the NFL. So I don't want to sell him short on his ability to be a player. I just don't think he's a superstar. Now, I would love to be wrong. Being a Seahawks fan, I would love to be wrong. I'd love this kid to come out and be lights out and put a shadow in Russell Wilson's, history for a little bit and let people forget about Russ for a while, because he is so good and so impressive and we're all so shocked. I just don't think it's going to happen.
Man. Bump?
Yeah, so Brian makes great points. Anyone who makes it to the NFL can play some ball, right? Maybe not to the level of your Hall of Famers or whatnot, but he can play some ball. Now, Schneider has proven that he's qualified when it comes to evaluating quarterbacks. But here's the tricky part. Did they really want Drew Lock, or were they forced to take him because this is where Russell wanted to go because he has a no trade clause? You know what I mean? Like, it's not like they were searching for a place for Russell to go and say, you know what, boom, let's send him to Denver because they got that kid Drew Lock over there. No, they were presented with some options. You bring Russell in, and Russell decides where he wants to go. So now you have no choice but to find the good in the kid. And yes, he can throw the football. Yes, he is mobile. But do they believe that he is the next guy up? If they truly believed he was the next guy up, would they leave the door open and say, well, we're always looking? When you have Russell Wilson as your quarterback, you're not always looking, but you're always answering phone calls. But never are they saying we're always looking to get better at the quarterback spot. No, definitely not. So the fact that they can't even commit themselves fully and saying this is our day one starter lets you know there's some doubt. You're always going to be able to find some good in a football player if you watch enough film. I think I played 100-something snaps. You're going to find some good in there if you look hard enough. You know what I'm saying? It's all perspective, man. So I believe that he will be serviceable. I don't think he's going to change the game. I don't think he's going to have a bunch of Drew Lock jerseys in the crowd. He's just here for the time being.
Okay, hey, no doubt. I know you've seen this because I brought it up just a couple of minutes ago. But have you seen this tweet from DK? Let's chill on the Drew Lock slander.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know I talked about how with Coach Pete and John Schneider, right? That could just be lip service. It could just be coach speak. With DK Metcalf, I mean, seeing as how you're a former wide receiver yourself, is that just player speak, or is this actually a sign of DK Metcalf actually having confidence in Drew Lock as a starting quarterback?
That's DK being a great businessman. Who determines your targets? It is your quarterback. You better be best friends with your quarterback. Every level I played at, I tried to get cool with the quarterback. He determines my future. Now, does he see the film and see some attributes he likes? Of course. But he knows, look, like DK is a superstar now. He's they're probably about to extend this dude. He knows for him to be successful, he needs that man to trust him in throwing the football, which Drew Lock would be crazy not to get out there and force footballs to DK Metcalf. But no, I think he believes in him, but I also think that he knows where he is when it comes to his position on the team now. He's a leader, man. It's him, it's Lockett, it's Quandre, it's Jamal, and we'll see if Dwayne Brown comes back. He knows, okay, I got a big voice now, and I got to make sure that this kid is received with open arms when it comes to this football team, because I know guys are going to knock him, and he determines my future. Throw me that rock, Deuce.
Man, that's actually a good point. That's not really something I even took into consideration. So, well said on your end. Did you want to add anything to that, Brian?
No, that was kind of my initial thought, is that, hey, man, why wouldn't you try to get in the good graces of your potential new starting quarterback? We already know that DK is like most diva wide receivers. Sorry, Bump, but it's true. You want the ball every single play. Every play you're open, and there's no question that DK's that dude. So I get it.
Okay, well, we're just gonna spend a little bit more time talking about Drew Lock, and then we'll touch on Trent Brown spurning our Seattle Seahawks. I think for me, my biggest defense against the Drew Lock is that, like he was talking about in his own presser, he hasn't really had I feel like a great situation around him, right? Because after he went 4-1, he has offensive coordinator fired. And then going into his second year, his first full year as the starter, he didn't have a Cortland Sutton. Cortland Sutton missed the entire year because of a torn ACL. So not only did he have, because of COVID, no practices, no OTAs, no training camp, he didn't have his number one wide receiver. He didn't have his offensive coordinator from the year before. And he had a defensive-minded head coach who wasn't really invested in his development. And so I don't know how much stock you guys put into Pro Football Focus, but for me, when I was doing some research on Pro Football Focus, his first full year as a starter, he finished 7th in the NFL in big time throw percentage after top 5 quarterbacks such as Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Russell Wilson, Patrick Mahomes, and Derek Carr. And so that year, what was the number? 6.4%. And big time throws, if you guys aren't already aware, they're PFF's highest graded passes, attempts with excellent ball location and timing, generally thrown further down the field and or into a tighter window. And I'm not saying, oh shoot, sorry about that. And I'm not saying dog's going crazy in the back. I'm not saying that he's going to be the next Josh Allen, but remember Josh Allen, his first couple of years in the league, he was completing sub 60% of his passes, touchdown to INT ratio was just absolutely horrific. He had a massive arm upside, not much else. Do you guys foreshadow, somewhat of a turnaround? Maybe not to the extent of a Josh Allen, because he's arguably a top 3 quarterback in football now. But when you look at the surroundings in Seattle, a top 3 duo at wide receiver, DK, Ty Lockett, Noah Fant. Rashad Penny was recently re-signed to form a tandem with Chris Carson. You have renewed confidence from the organization behind you. Hopefully a better defense next year. And so do you guys think that with everything around him, with the confidence, the players, the skill set, what we've seen in the past, could he potentially change people's minds and prove that next year he can be the successor at quarterback?
You got to be.
No. No.
Still no?
No. Still no. No. It's
still
just look, to me, those sound like excuses, right? I didn't have this, I didn't have that, I didn't have this. Okay, I'm going to go all the way back to a name that people might not be familiar with. They know this man's sons. They might not know of him, the legend Archie Manning, former quarterback for the New Orleans Saints. This guy played on a team with a bunch of bums in the 70s, a bunch of garbage players. They lost all the time, but he was outstanding. Why? Because he was that kind of player. He made things happen. Sometimes you've got to overcome these obstacles and put the onus on you, not on your resources, not on your teammates. You've got to make it happen. That's the kind of quarterback I want on my Seahawks team. And if Drew Lock isn't that guy, which by those statements to me doesn't sound like he is, then I'm not interested. And again, it doesn't change my opinion that I don't think he's the Seahawks quarterback moving forward.
Dan, before you answer that, Bump, I was actually just trying to make one last, effort to kind of persuade you guys. I like to think of myself as a very persuasive man, and so that didn't work with Abker, with Brian. But Bump, I mean, did I change your mind just a little bit, or what you thinking now?
You made some great points. You made some great points and valid points, and and the thing about numbers is they can fool you sometimes. You got to put on the film, and I think about Peyton Manning, right? Peyton Manning's first year was bad, man. I think he led the league in interceptions or whatnot. But you know what? When he went to the offseason, they wanted to keep him there for a reason. Granted, he's the number one pick, right? You're not going to give him number one pick, but they kept giving him opportunities because of the work that he was putting in, and they saw something in him, right? You go 4-1 and you get the boot. Someone don't see something in you. Now, I get it, offensive coordinator is gone, circumstances change. But as a quarterback, if you do enough your first year, regardless of wins or losses, touchdowns and interceptions, if you got that it factor, guys are going to keep giving you a chance. For them to turn the page so quickly on a guy that they thought was going to be their franchise dude says something. Now, he is set up to be successful here. He's set up. You got a dual quarterback. Dual receivers, Lockett and DK. You got a good run game. We'll see what this offensive line looks like. It looks like I'm hoping they're going to stack up on the defense in this draft. Like, you're set up to be okay, to be decent. Like, no one expects you to go into the playoffs or win big games or whatnot. But there's something to be said when a staff just gives up on you. Because just like I mentioned earlier, all you need is one guy to believe in you. On that staff, he didn't have anybody with any type of authority to fight for him and believe in him. So what does that say? You hear about his immaturity. I don't know. Again, I don't know the dude personally. I hate to knock on someone's character because I don't really know him. I'm just streets talking. I'm going to listen to it, at least pay attention a little bit. You know what I mean? And that's what they're saying. So I don't expect much out the kid, man. He's set up to have a decent year. I mean, the division is not looking awesome right now. I mean, you still have the Super Bowl champions. You got the Cardinals with all their stuff. It's still a good division. The AFC West is the division to beat right now. But nah, man, I just don't see it. I hope he surprises me, though. I will be rooting for the kid.
Man, I don't know if y'all seen Spider-Man, but Zendaya, who played, MJ in that movie, she was talking about how if you expect disappointed, you won't be disappointed. And so maybe I should, maybe I should try to adapt, that same mindset. I don't know. I'm a little higher on Drew Lock than I feel like the majority. But just like you guys, I do hope that he proves the majority of us wrong.
Nah, you do you, man. If you believe, you believe.
Yeah.
Then you look smart. All right, we said hating on him, right?
These haters were wrong.
So let's say he flops though. Am I gonna look stupid?
Nah. They'll forget about all this. Don't worry about it.
Right. Okay. Well, Bump, I thought you brought in a perfect segue. You talked about the offensive line. So speaking of offensive lines, Trent Brown, who reportedly spent the entire weekend in Seattle. I was on Twitter just talking nonstop about it. But he spent the entire weekend in Seattle only to spurn us by re-signing with the New England Patriots, our arch nemesis, the New England Patriots. And so what do you guys make of the news? Brian, I'm going to start with you. And are you at all kind of hurt by his decision to spurn the Hawks? If so, or I guess it doesn't matter if you are or not, but what's Seattle's plans at right tackle moving forward? Are you confident in a Jay Curhan? Because I think from what I saw last year, he's an absolute mauler in the run game. If Pete wants to double down on his philosophy, I think Jay Curhan would be an ideal starter at the right tackle spot. Do you think otherwise?
No, I'm going to start there. I think Curhan is exactly what Pete would love to have, especially re-signing Rashad Penny to that one-year deal, seeing if Chris Carson can come back healthy and maybe picking up another running back late in this draft to add to their stable. Pete wants to run the ball. There's no doubt about it. So Curhan's a great guy for that. And if Drew Lock is your quarterback, you're probably not going to be slinging it 30, 35 times a game. So you don't need to worry about his issues or lack of skill when it comes to pass blocking currently. As far as getting spurned, I don't look at it as getting spurned. This is a business deal. He may have this is what it is. Like, he and his girlfriend were on a temporary break, and he went out and was seen in public with another girl. Now, nobody knows this, but this girl's just a friend, but it looks different in the eyes of his ex or his girlfriend that he's on a break with. And then his girlfriend that he's on a break with calls him up and says, "Hey, you want to come over for dinner? Let's talk." And he goes back and he gets back with her. Not a big deal. That's how life works, and that's how business works in the NFL.
Man, well said. Well said. I don't even have nothing to add to that. Bump.
Relationships, man. Relationships in this league are huge. And he has played for probably the best franchise in the last 10, 15 years in this league. So it's going to be tough to pull him. It's like my boy B was saying, you got to spit some game to pull him from that. You know what I mean? Like, we got a young quarterback over here. Don't even worry. We're going to rebuild. Like, everything says stay in New England.
Yeah, it does.
Stable. You know what I mean? You come out here like, who's the quarterback? Is Rashad Penny going to be back? What are they going to do at linebacker? How's Jamal fixed? Is Clint Hurtt going to change his defense? When there's a lot of questions, you lean on relationships. That's why the Hawks got Rashad Penny, because of the relationship. They hung in there with it for 3 or 4 years and said, look, we're going to stand by you. So I think that's what it came down to, is that he was out here. Doesn't mean he didn't like Seattle and the organization and Pete and Schneider and all those guys. He goes, look, I'm just going to go with what I know. And what I know is I used to play for the best head coach in all of sports. I'm going to ride with him.
I mean, that actually, again, that's a perfect segue. I wanted to talk about, our key re-signings, free agents that Seattle did bring into the building. So we'll start with the Rashad Penny. He obviously just re-signed 1 year. I think it's $5.75 million with the potential and incentives to make up to $6 million. What would you guys grade the contract? Was he overpaid? And how do you envision him alongside of Chris Carson? Brian, I'm gonna start with you.
Yeah, no, that was a perfect number. I mean, I think there's a lot of people that wanted to see him re-sign, but on a 1 year prove you can stay healthy deal, and that's exactly what the Seahawks did. And I got to give a ton of credit to Penny. I mean, I already like Rashad Penny a lot, but he really endeared himself to me by doing what he said he was going to do. He said he wanted to remain a Seahawk. He said he was so grateful to this team for sticking by him all these years that he was injured, that he wanted to remain a Seahawk. Now, we've heard that come out of other players' mouths before. I'm grateful to this team. They stuck by me. And then guess what? They go and they take a better deal somewhere else because it's all about the money. I don't know if he had any other potential offers on the table or if he was going to get any, but the bottom line is he stayed here. If he stays healthy, he's going to be spectacular. He was the top running back in the NFL for the last 5 games of the season. You can say what you want about maybe the defenses he was going up against, but the numbers he put up against those defenses weren't put up by any other running backs that played those defenses. So the dude's good when he's healthy, and I'm glad he's back.
And before you go, Bump, I forgot to add, reportedly he turned down more money from other teams. And that's kind of what he alluded to in his presser. And so, Brian, I think he's speaking facts like you always do. He hit onto his word. And like you said, last 5 weeks of the season, almost 700 yards rushing. If prorated over the course of an entire season, he would have rushed for 2,200 yards, which would have broke Eric Dixon's record. Now, I'm not saying he's going to do that in Seattle, especially if Chris Carson is going to be alongside of him next year. But I think this is a terrific deal. It kind of eliminates the need to go after a running back early in the draft. But Bump, how would you grade the re-signing, and what do you think about the money?
I love the re-signing one. I think they needed to get that done. As far as the money, maybe it overpaid a little bit, but so what? I mean, so what? At this point, he showed you his potential. We've been waiting on this kid to have that breakout 4 or 5 games for 4 years now. And I think he deserved it. And I think that's a perfect example of just relationships and respect. Now, the NFL stands for no effing loyalty, not for long, all this other stuff, right? Right now, Rashad Penny said, look, I'm gonna change that right now. I'm gonna show some loyalty to my team. And guess what? The team's gonna show some loyalty back. Overpaid maybe just a little bit, in my opinion. And if other teams were willing to pay more than what the Seahawks were willing to pay Rashad Penny, then he's a stand-up guy. And when you listen to him talk, that's the feel I get from this dude. He was never injured before he got to the NFL. Never injured. Played every game, was healthy as heck. You get to the league, things change, man. You gain weight, you lose weight, you're making different movements. It was all stacked against this dude. And so for him to persevere those last 4 or 5 games and make it tough on the Hawks, right? If he didn't do that, he would have been gone. We wouldn't be talking about Rashad Penny, but he made it tough on the Seahawks. Like, look, what are you going to do with me? This is the potential. Now, are you rolling the dice with this dude? Most definitely. With any running backs, you're rolling the dice because their shelf life really is only 4 to 6 years of really playing some good football because of the nature of the position. So, no, I like the move. I don't mind that they overpaid a little bit. And I respect Rashad Penny for saying, no, I'm going to stick with the team who drafted me in the first round, who no one was expecting, drafted me in the first round, and stood by me for 4 years while I was banged up.
Yeah, but I just wanted to add, I feel like a lot of people are, not a lot of people, but I've seen some people attacking, the contract that he took, and they're saying like, oh my gosh, he had over 90% of his career production in 1 year. But if Seattle is not rebuilding, but instead retooling, then why does it matter how much we're paying a Rashad Penny if we're going to be paying Drew Lock a rookie, rookie scale money? And if we do draft the rookie at quarterback, he's going to be making rookie money as well. And so even if we're, kind of overspending just a little bit, I feel like for Rashad Penny, it doesn't really matter if we're not going to go anywhere this year, right?
Yeah, but and let me just comment here if I could. The Seahawks have about $40 million in cap space left, right? After all their signings and everything. I mean, that's the number we're seeing. Nobody really knows except for the Seahawks themselves. That's why they pay a cap specialist millions of dollars to be on top of those numbers. But it's roughly $40 million. So you're talking about Rashad. People think Rashad Penny might have been overpaid for 1 year. How much overpaid by? $1 million? $1.5 million? Come on, man. And that's negligible when it comes to the numbers that we're talking about. It's meaningless.
100%. Real quick, I know I've been ignoring y'all in the chat. I promise you guys, I'm not trying to ignore you guys. I will get back to you guys in just a second, but I did want to shout out my brother right here. As Squabo says, I agree. I love the fact that he's sticking with Seattle. Brian knows who he is, and Bump, real quick, he currently attends Washington State University. He's the head of the TV station over there. So I just want to kind of, give you guys an opportunity, to kind of, interact a little bit. So Squab, my brother, bro, thank you so much for taking the time. I know you a busy fella as well. So
Squabo, really go Coos, baby.
There's another hustler, another guy getting it done.
Hey, he's the future. I'm telling you right now, he's the future. But while we're talking about free agents and whatnot, so we brought in Uchenna Nwosu. We brought in Artie Burns. We brought in Austin Blythe, who has experience under Shane Waldron, Andy Dickerson. We brought in a Shelby Harris, a Noah Fant, obviously a Drew Lock. We brought back Quentin Jefferson. Bump, I'm going to start with you. Who do you think is going to have the biggest impact so far out of all Seattle's outside additions? And do you have a favorite re-signing/signing?
Man, I'm going to go with Noah Fant. I really like what he does. I loved what Gerald Everett brought to the table last year. You can line him up outside, inside. He's good with the ball in his hands. I think Noah Fant is even better than what Gerald Everett was last year. People have been knocking Gerald Everett. I was the Niners game, whatever, 3 turnovers. I feel bad for the dude, but he was a good football player. But I look at Noah Fant, and he can do everything. He can block, he can run, big playability, tough catch, all of that. Now, who do I like coming in? First, I'm just going to go with the offensive line in Blythe, just because, one, I heard Sean McVay talk about him. And if Sean McVay loves you and he's talking about you and he wish he could have you, then I'm glad that we snatched him from him, man. And he's familiar with Andy Dickerson and what he does. So in that center position was up and down, man. You had Posey, you had Fuller. Like you didn't have real consistency at that center spot. So I like the sign of Blythe, man. I got to go with Blythe. And I think Noah Fant is going to have a big year, especially if they get to what I think they're going to do. A lot of jet, play action, dump it out, get it to your playmakers underneath the covers, let them make the plays for you. Then you get back and you take your shot every now and then to 16 and 14. I think Noah Fant's going to be big there. I think Blythe is going to add some type of stability at that center spot.
Well, so real quick, Bump, why do you think we didn't see enough of that last year? We didn't see none of those jet sweeps. We didn't see none of these wide receiver, all the plays like that, right? We didn't see none of that last year. So what happened?
Mr. Unlimited wanted to throw the ball. That's what it comes down to. You get paid $35 million, you got a seat at the table, and they gonna listen to you a little bit. He ain't gonna have that pushback with Drew Lock. Drew gonna be like, "What you want me to do? All right, let's run this.
I'll do it." Okay, that's valid. Brian, what say you though? as it
Yeah.
pertains to our additions?
First of all, I like Noah Fant too, Bump. I really do. I mean, that guy's a great athlete and he's got potential to be a superstar. But my only problem with that is, in my opinion, I don't feel like the Seahawks have ever really known how to use a tight end the most effective way. I mean, Jimmy Graham you brought in, and I don't feel like they used him in the right way or enough. So I don't know how much of an impact he's going to have. Now, maybe Shane Waldron's going to show us something different, because I think this is going to start to be Shane Waldron's show. Now that Russ is gone, you know, Pete's given him the mold for what he wants. Now I think Shane's going to work within that mold, but this is going to be his baby. So Austin Blythe, I think, is a great signing, because you wouldn't have signed him if Shane Waldron didn't say, yeah, let's go get him, right? He was familiar with him. He knows all about him. And if he didn't think he was going to be an asset to the team, they wouldn't have gone him. I think Quentin Jefferson, I think bringing him back, I know he's gone a couple places since being a Seahawk, but I think bringing him back is going to give us some really nice stability on that D line. And I think that Pete Carroll knows how to use them. So I'm excited about that. And then, you know, Quandre Diggs, and I don't know if we're talking about guys that we re-signed, but to me, that Quandre Diggs re-signing was everything. I'm so happy he's back. That was huge.
Okay, well, speaking of re-signings, I also just want to talk about real briefly about guys that we didn't re-sign. And so for me, I know in the eyes of some, he was probably overpaid to the tune of 3 years, $33 million with the Jets, an average annual value of $11 million. How do you guys feel about the loss of DJ Reed? Is that a significant loss? I mean, we already had a need in the secondary, you know, at cornerback. And so are you guys okay with him leaving? Did you want him to stick around? Was there a number that you had in mind? Brian, I'm going to start with you.
Yeah, I know. I'm not okay with him leaving. I think DJ Reed's an up-and-coming star in the NFL, and we'll see. But, you know, it's tough to go to the Jets and be good. You know, I mean, they haven't been an organization that's even kept their superstars. So he obviously is at the point in time in his career where money is the factor. You only have so much time to make so much money, and he took advantage of it, and good for him. He should have. And the thing that was disappointing to hear was that he said that the Seahawks did make him an offer, but that he felt that was insulting. And you never want to hear a player say that the offer they were given by their team was insulting. But sometimes in the NFL, things get insulting, and you got to deal with it and move on. I'm disappointed, but, you know, what can you do?
Yeah, I love me some DJ Reed, man. Small dude, feisty, super confident. I believe he went the JC route, so I appreciate that even more. People don't realize, like, you go to a junior college, that's harder than going to a D1 at some point, because you got a bunch of bounce backs. You got to fight your way through. They found him. He was a diamond in the rough. You pick him off he was injured when he was with the 49ers. You bring him in here. You almost develop him, but then he goes and he gets his money. And like B was talking about, I'm good with that, man. You go get your money. I mean, and if the number was disrespectful, what is he getting paid? $11 million a year over there with the Jets? What were they shooting at? Probably like $5 or $6 million. And if that's the case, and you can double up, go ahead and double up, man. Because like B was saying, it's you get 2 contracts if you're lucky to make your money. And there's a lot of people depending on you. It's tough to see him go, because we haven't seen stability at the corner position in a very long time with this team. You're bringing Akilla Witherspoon, you're bringing Quandre Diggs, you're bringing all these other guys. I mean, Sidney Jones is over there. He had his good moments as well. But it's been a while since you looked across the defense and said, okay, that's the right side, that's the left side. Let's play some ball. It's who's available this week. I hope we can call some turnovers. You know, there's no stability there. So that's why I wanted him to stay, because I felt like you're starting to get stable. But what do? You draft Trey Brown. I love that kid. We'll see what he does over there. But yeah, tough to see DJ Reed go, man. He brought a feistiness to this team that I think has been missing the last few years.
Yep.
So I did a breakdown, right, on DJ Reed a couple of months ago, and he actually had the opportunity before he left Seattle to watch some of that video. You know, we was chopping it up a little bit on Twitter, and so, you know, that was definitely an experience and one hell of a conversation. For me, I just wanted to point out, though, and I think that dude pointed out in the chat. Let me see what he said. He said the loss of Reed hurts. Dude's coverage is borderline elite, sub 50% completion when targeted, sticky as hell. Dude is a defensive stud. I think for me, the one silver lining in DJ Reed not re-upping in Seattle is I think there's a little bit of redundancy with him and a Trey Brown. When I did a Trey Brown breakdown last year, my player comp was DJ Reed. You know, they both my height, 5'9". They real sticky in man coverage. You can kind of move them inside and outside, real physical, run support. Great all-around cornerbacks. And so maybe Seattle was kind of reluctant not only to pay DJ Reed that much money, but starting 2 sub-6-foot guys on the outside. Maybe that wasn't in the cards. And so I hope he balls out in New York. I mean, I wish him well. I wish him the best, but that loss definitely hurts. But real quick, though, before we move on to the next topic, what do you guys think of the Uchenna and Wusu signing? Just because I thought that was one of the more underrated signings of free agency, not just for the Seahawks, but across the entire NFL. And when you look at average annual value, as far as contracts that they give out to outside free agents, they've never given anybody more than the $9 million that they gave Ezekiel Ansah a couple years ago, except for Nwosu. And so I know Seattle's been looking for more 3-4 guys. That's why they cut a Kerry Hyder, a Benson Mayowa, Carlos Dunlap. Bump, what do you think he'll bring to the defense? And is he going to create or wreak havoc alongside of Darrell Taylor?
That's what they're hoping, right? I mean, as soon as they sign the kid, I'm like, yeah, they have to be thinking more 3-4. You hear Clint Hurtado goes, look, we're going to be attacking. You need versatile guys on the edge. I'm done with the days of seeing Benson Mayowa, Carlos Dunlap, Al Woods, Punafort dropping the coverage. I'm done with that. You're not fooling anybody. Let's just throw that in the garbage. So you bring this guy in, and what they're doing is they're looking for someone who can line up on the other side of Darrell Taylor, and they almost look alike. Like you look at the way these guys play, and their movements, their bodies. It's like they're looking for a certain type of player. So I like that they're getting their type of guy. And then you hear Staley talk about what Ujima brought to the table. He said he's great ball skills. He has a motor that goes. I believe last year he had 5 sacks. And he only played 63% of the snaps, I believe, last year. I think he'll be more up to the 70s this year and really get after the quarterback. I like it. You got a second level where you're losing Bobby Wagner, the greatest linebacker in Seahawks history. You got Cody Barton to compete with him. You got Jordan Brooks and then Ben Burke-Herbin after that. Like, you got to bring bodies in. And if you want to be able to stop the run like the Hawks were able to do last year, you need that second level to be straight. But if you want to get after the quarterback, that's where you make your money. You need young athletes on the outside. I talked to Brock Heward. He goes, look, Bump, these guys are going to get younger and more violent. And you look at Uchenna, I think that's exactly what they did.
And Brian, before you go, I just wanted to put out a stat out there. If I'm not mistaken, Owusu finished 13th in the NFL last year in pressure percentage, ahead of guys like Von Miller. And he did this while playing on a torn labrum. So, Brian, what do you think he's going to bring to the table next year? Are we in store for a potential breakout year?
Yeah, and let me get to that in a second. I just want to rewind really quick to go back to a last point that you made, Steez, about possible redundancy between DJ Reed and Trey Brown, with DJ Reed going to the Jets. There could be, but Trey Brown could be kind of a Walter Thurman type of situation. I don't know if you guys remember, but Walter Thurman was a stud out of Oregon, and he was injured, and he was injured, and he was injured, but showed flashes, and Pete stuck with him, and then he became a stud and went and got his money. So sometimes in the NFL, you need redundancy for those type of situations, because we don't know how Trey Brown is going to pan out. He looks like he's got all the potential in the world, but what's he actually going to do? So that's another reason why I would have loved to see the Seahawks bring back DJ Reed. Now, to talk about Nwosu, I mean, come on, he's a stud. It's a no-brainer. He's going to do nothing but tighten this defense up and make them better. And I can't wait. And I love what you said, Bump, about Brock Heward's comment about they're going to get younger and more violent. I love hearing that. That sounds like some fun football to watch.
Okay, as it pertains to Nwosu, like Bump was talking about, he's kind of a Darrell Taylor clone. What do you make of his signing, and what do you make of the money that Seattle gave him? Does that mean that they look – well, nah. Obviously, they think highly of him, but what do you think is the sort of impact that he's going to bring to the table next year? Like I said, he played on a torn labrum and still had 5 sacks, finished 13th in the NFL in pressure percentage. Have you had a chance to watch some of his film?
Who are you talking to, me?
Oh, Brian, my fault.
Yeah, no, like I said, he's a stud. It's a no-brainer. It's not even, in my opinion, a discussion. The dude's going to come in and immediately make the Seahawks defense better. I mean, you want a Darrell Taylor clone? I'll take 5 of them. I mean, Darrell Taylor's an up-and-coming superstar if he can stay healthy as well. So, yeah, I love it.
Okay, no doubt. Hey, I think we all on the same page. Let's transition into the next topic now, though. Free agency is it's still going on, obviously, but now a lot of people are starting to shift their attention towards the NFL draft, which is about a month and a week from today. As you guys already know, Seattle's going to have the 9th overall pick, courtesy of the Denver Broncos in that Russell Wilson trade. I'm going to start with this. Is Seattle going to trade back? And if not, do you guys ever have any sort of prospects that you like at number 9 for Seattle? Bump, I'll start with you.
Man, I hope they don't trade back. But that's what they do, right? They trade back. They like to shop in bulk, right? They have the black card at Costco when it comes to the draft. They love to go get bulk out there. I hope they don't, and I think they're not going to, because I think they know they need a top 10 guy. When you look at the draft, once you get past like the 25th pick in the draft, you get into the second round, like everyone starts to lump in together, right? Everyone starts to look a bit more similar. But those top 10 guys are something special when it comes to the physical. We'll see if they pan out or not. So, no, I don't think they're going to move that number 9 pick. And with that pick, we need the Sauce, man. Sauce Gardner. That has been my dude since I've watched him all year, man. Didn't allow one touchdown this year. You talk about a bigger corner, he's your guy, 6 foot, 6'1", about 185 pounds. He's long. He can lock down the side. I think they address the secondary, or they got to go with that defensive end. If they were to move this pick, I'd be highly disappointed, but I wouldn't be surprised, because that's just what they do. But I think for the first time, and I don't know how long, they're going to have a top 10 pick, and they're going to take Sauce Gardner with the 9.
Brian, before we get to you, I think aside from Sauce, the one guy I would love for Seattle to go for is a Kayvon Thibodeau. But almost no way he falls to number 9.
Maybe.
Otherwise, there's a possibility, though. You never know. I mean, there's all these reports coming out about how he has a lack of maturity. He doesn't have a passion for the game. I'm not saying that's true. I'm just saying that's some of the stuff that's been coming out. But Sauce Gardner, like you said, Bump, over 1,000 snaps of college football, didn't allow a single touchdown. And I'm not trying to turn this into something that is not, but I think there's a reason why Richard Sherman had him on his podcast just a couple of days ago. I mean, I'm seeing some player comps, and they're saying that his player comp is Richard Sherman. Brian, what do you make of all this? Are we tripping? Am I reading into this a little too much, or what say you?
Oh, probably. I think Richard Sherman's trying to really get himself set up for his second career after playing the game, right? So he's, of course, going to bring on a dude that he's got something in common with, and that he's very similar to. I don't think that there's any correlation between that and the Hawks. In fact, I kind of disagree with both you guys on this, and it's the first time in this show that we've disagreed. I think the Seahawks are going to trade back. I think, listen, you said it, Bump. They like to shop in bulk. It's a numbers game. The draft is a numbers game. The more picks you have, the more chance you have of getting studs. The fewer picks you have, the less of a chance you have, and the higher up you draft, the bigger chance you have of having a complete bust and just ruining everything. I think that's why they really haven't taken a lot of stock in their first round picks, and their first round picks that they have had haven't really panned out, with a blaze of glory. They've petered out, or with Rashad Penny's case, maybe it's starting to come to fruition, but you certainly expect a lot more out of a first round pick than 5 years in, finally maybe looking like you might be the guy. So I think they're going to go try to get some numbers. Now, I'm not saying they're going to trade out of the first round, but I think that Pete just loves to have a basket full of items when he goes up to the cashier to check out. He wants as many items in his cart as he could possibly get.
Yeah. I'm mad at that.
Okay, well, before we transition to a quick question, because both these guys are busy men and they do got to go. Brian, real quick, are there any prospects that you're enamored with?
Malik, man. Give me that. Give me the quarterback that's got all the potential in the world. Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I would want to take him at 9. I probably would. I'm the kind of guy that would say, hey, if I can get him later in the first round, I'd do it. I know there's a lot of people that are out there like, nah, man, second or third round because he's a project, not that accurate, turn the ball over. But there is nobody that I've seen, and I'm not a professional scout. I've seen a lot of football, but, my opinion is just that, just my opinion. This dude is electric and dynamic, and I would love to see him in a Seahawks uniform to see what he can do.
Okay, no doubt. Well, we're going to transition into our final topic of the day. I will take some time to address some of y'all in the comments. So just because they're going doesn't mean I'm going. So we can hold off on that. And I'm going to start with you, Bump. This is a little early. I know there's still the draft to be played out, trades and whatnot. You guys know Seattle. When they make a trade, it's usually going to be, sometime around training camp, after training camp. So there's still plenty of moves to be made. But as it stands today, March 21st, 2022, what are some of your guys' early predictions for Seattle's record next season? And with the NFC in its weakest state in some time, are the playoffs feasible? Bump, I'm going to start with you.
Ooh, man. I'm gonna go out and say they're gonna win 6 games. 6 games next year. And I don't think with 6 games, you better not make the playoffs. You're not going to make the playoffs. The division would have to be really horrible for them to make the division with 6 wins. But no, I just don't think it's. I don't even think Pete and them are thinking that way. I think you have to approach this year like you do in college when Pete went to SC and they were down. And like, I'm gonna need a recruiting class, maybe 2 recruiting classes to get my guys in here to get this thing going. Now Pete doesn't have much time, like B said earlier, but I think he understands that you have to be patiently urgent, right? It's oxymoron. You go against everything, right? Your body's telling you, I need to go right now, but your mind and your experience is telling you, I need to be patient with this, man, because I'm trying to set myself up, and then honestly, he's trying to set up the next guy to be the head coach, because the next guy to be the head coach for the Seattle Seahawks is already in the building. That's just what I believe. I believe it's going to be Clint Hurt or it's going to be Shane Waldron. Yeah. Probably Clint Hurt. But he's setting up himself and he's setting up his boy. So now, man, 6 wins, no playoffs, crawl before you walk. But I think they can be competitive. Doesn't mean they're just getting blown out every single week. I think they can make it. They can be in some games and make it tough.
No doubt, but I mean, like I said at the top of the show, we saw the Miami Dolphins a couple years ago. We thought that this was probably the most talent deficient team in all of NFL history, and they ended up going 5-11 with Brian Flores. You know, they were real feisty. They fought for their coach. You know, great locker room culture and all that. And so, you know, their win-loss record didn't exactly. It wasn't a perfect indication of the talent level on the roster. And I think with Seattle, we're going to be very feisty. You know, we're going to play teams close. We're going to be that one team that nobody wants to play, no matter who we have at quarterback. Yep. Brian, what say you, though? What's our record prediction for next year? And in a very weakened NFC, are the playoffs feasible?
First of all, patiently urgent. I love that. I'm going to start using that because that's a very good explanation for what Pete is. And let's not kid ourselves. Listen, Pete's a pretty arrogant guy, and deservedly so. Somewhere in his brain, he thinks he's going to win the division next year. You know, it might not be what the real thought is, but somewhere in his brain, he's like, I know we can win it. I just have to figure out how, you know, and that's what he's going to try to do. I think they win 8 games, which is still under 500. I think they go to the playoffs, and I think it's a reincarnation, a rebirth of exactly the way Pete and John came in when they went to the playoffs and they hosted the Saints, and there was the Beastquake, and I think we're up and running, and then the next year we go to the divisional round and we lose, and then the following year we go to the Super Bowl. I want to see history repeat itself season after season after season starting this year. That's my fantasy hope as a fan.
Let's go. I'm with you.
Hey, I'm all for that, Brian. You know, before I was kind of the mindset of, you know what, let's just tank this year so we can get a Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, JT, whatever his last name was. I'm sorry, I'm kind of butchering it right now. But now I'm just like, you know what? I'd rather see us go out there and fight. I'd rather see us go out there and be that feisty team that nobody wants to play, you know, to be that team that makes somewhat of a sneaky run, that kind of, you know, nobody expected us to do this or that or this or that. And so, yeah, I think I'm starting to concentrate notion, Brian. But look, you guys got to go. I'll still be here to all the fans out there. But before you guys go, Bump, I'll start with you. Do you have any sort of plugs, shout outs you kind of want to throw out there?
Yeah, man. Follow me. Twitter, Instagram, Michael Bumpus 5. 710, Seattle Sports Station. I'm on 3 times a week. And I'll be filling in for Jake on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday on Jake and Stacy. And yeah, man, just holla at me. I interact on Twitter, man. Show me some love. And big ups, John Clayton. Rest in peace, man. We lost a legend last week.
Man, I should have mentioned that. Rest in heaven, man. That was somebody I definitely looked up to, OG in the game, alongside you guys. So thanks for bringing that up. BA, Brian, what you got to say?
Yeah, to echo Michael's sentiments, John Clayton, probably one of the greatest people I've ever met in my life. I had a chance to work with him for about a year when I was at KJR when I first started, he and his wife, Pat. And I can't tell you, you know, I wasn't anybody. I was just an up-and-coming guy, and just spending a few minutes with him made me feel special. And there's a lot of people out there that spent a lot more time with him and knew him a lot longer and a lot better. But he sure made me feel like, you know, I was great and special. So he's going to be missed by many. I'm not even on Twitter anymore. Somehow I can't find my account. Somebody may have hacked it, taken it, whatever. I don't care. I do Facebook, but that's mainly with my friends. If I've got something important to say, you all hear about it. I am a free agent, though. I've been slowly working my way back into the broadcast business. So anybody want me, come get me. Bump, I love your work. Steezy, you're a rising star. And anytime you guys want to get together on something like this, hit me up.
Show.
Hey, y'all. I mean, I've been in talks with Lofa Tupu. I got some other guests on the horizon, so hopefully we can all make that happen. But one more time to all the fans out there, Mr. Michael Bumpus, Mr. Brian Abker, please, hey, show him some love, give him a follow, all that good stuff. These are the voices of Seattle sports that you guys are tuned into. So, man, again, Bump, BA, thank you guys so much for taking the time. Really, from the bottom of my heart, I'm eternally grateful, and I can't wait to do this again.
Go Cougs.
Easy. Keep doing it, baby. Go Cougs.
Yes, sir. Take care, y'all.
All right.
All right. Like I said, y'all, just because they gotta go, it doesn't mean that we gonna end the show. We still got some things to talk about. Like I said, I did want to address some of you guys in the comments. Just because I had those two guys on, I didn't want to have to, address and have to talk to every single person out there sending chats just because they were kind of on a time restriction. So while we have some time now, let me address some of y'all. Zuko Zamba, Steezy, a star in the making. Hey, bro, thank you so much, bro. I don't care who it comes from. It doesn't matter, if I'm hearing it from them, if I'm hearing it from somebody, But man, bro, that really means a lot. And I also do just want to say, because we did just talk about it, rest in heaven to Mr. John Clayton. I mean, I was just literally listening to him on the radio not too long ago, and I had hopes and dreams. I had aspirations of one day being able to work alongside of him, but man, rest in heaven to a real legend, real OG in the game, Professor John Clayton, man. I promise, hopefully I'm making my way up, in the Seattle sports broadcasting realm, and so I'm gonna make you proud. Just watch. Rest in peace to the professor. John the Professor Clayton will be missed. Damn right. It's just about giving him a shot. Just like Russell Wilson got a shot, I root for him just the same. All right, Chief. Y'all have a great rest of your night. I gotta go. It's 10:30 p.m. over here in the East. I'll have a great week. And as always, hey, go Hawks. Okay, well, it's gonna take me some time to get through all the comments. I probably won't be able to show each and every single comment, but if you guys have any sort of questions, I'm probably gonna look to wrap this up within the next 10 to 15 minutes. A question missed in the chat, please drop them below. I'll feel free to answer them to the best of my ability. But again, though, at Mr. Michael Bumpus 5 on Instagram, at Brian Abker on Instagram, please, man, show them some love, give them a follow. They know their stuff. Like I said, these are the voices of Seattle sports. And so for me to even be able to share a platform with them, I think that's surreal, and this is something that I've had in the works for some time. And so for all you guys out there that are tuned in, dropping comments, subscribing, hitting the like button, I can't thank you enough, honestly. And you guys deserve a lot of the credit. Honestly, without you guys, I don't know where I'd be at right now. So, I really appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. Donnie Pearson, how are you doing, Donnie? I hope you're doing wonderful. Thank you so much for tuning in this evening. That dude later on, Chief. Hey, all right, that dude. I hope you have a great day, bro. Thank you so much for joining us. Actually, you know what? Let me scroll through some of the older comments. There's probably a lot of questions that I might have missed over. So let's see what we talking about, y'all. For now, enjoy this DK Metcalf tweet. This is a Drew Lock episode, so I did just want to kind of put that out there yet again. Hey, yo, Seahawks Global. What's going on, bro? Ryan Wilson, thank you so much for taking the time to join us, bro. I know you probably a busy person as well, so, I really appreciate that. Thank you. Let's see. Dream choice to replace Russ. Jack Turner. Okay. CG, my man CG, what's going on, bro? What's going on? Geno Smith should be re-signed soon. Oh, you're right. Hey, my bad. I thought you was talking to me. My bad. But dream choice to replace Russ. Man. So when we're talking about my dream choice, are we talking about I could pick from any quarterback in the NFL, or am I only able to pick from the guys that are feasible options? Like, am I only able to pick from like a Gardner Minshew, the rookies in this coming class, Drew Lock? I'm not exactly sure. And so once you kind of clarify that, I'll be more than glad to answer that question for you. Let me see. Appreciate listening to your podcast, and their team will be better without Russell Wilson in the future. Hope you guys have recorded to replace Russell Wilson next year. Hey, Japanese Beast, thank you so much, bro. I really appreciate the kind gesture. Disney Adventure Vlogs, congratulations, Steezy. Yes, me 3.8K now. I just boosted up your channel. Hey, I'm eternally grateful. Disney Adventure Vlogs, thank you so much. I don't know if you have a YouTube channel. I don't know if you have any socials, bro, but put your socials out there. But I want to give you a public shout out for everybody to see, for everybody to follow you. Yeah, put that out there, man. Put that out there. Was hoping to get Bumpus rating or Drew Lock's popping lock dancing. Hey, this ain't gonna be the only time Bump and Brian Abker is gonna be on the show. I'm definitely gonna have him on feature shows, as will Norbcam, Michael Sean Duger, who covers the Seahawks for The Athletic, Lofa Tatupu, somebody I've been connecting with on Twitter. And so I have a plethora of guests that I want to bring on board for future shows. So just because, Bump, they have to go early doesn't mean that that's the last y'all will see of him. He'll be back, I hope. And yeah, there's plenty to look forward to, though. Realistic option, because I'd love me some Josh Allen in the Pacific Northwest. I'm not gonna lie, bro. I think for me, Malik Willis. I don't know if Seattle's gonna be the sort of team that's gonna expedite or optimize his development, but I just feel like with some of the tools that he brings to the table, he's a leader. He has all the intangibles, rocket arm, athletic and physical upside is tremendous. Malik Willis for me. I think he automatically is the next Jalen Hurts / Lamar Jackson. I think his rushing upside is what's going to carry him his rookie year. Malik Willis, that's the answer. Corey Davis, hey, I saw your super chat from earlier, bro. Thank you so much for the super chat. I greatly appreciate that. Thank you for taking the time to join us. Your question, Corey Davis, my good friend, is would you want Seattle to trade for Jimmy G? I'm going to have to say no. And I'm going to have to borrow some point that Bump actually brought up himself. He kind of talked about how we shouldn't, or Seattle shouldn't bring in a Baker Mayfield because that kind of locks us into a specific or a certain ceiling, right? Like if we were to have a Baker Mayfield, not only are we going to have to pay him, but he's 27 years old. And so is there really still a bunch of untapped upside or potential left in him? Like, are we going to see anything more than what we've already seen? I'm not exactly sure. And so I know with the Jimmy G, I know he's a great leader. He's beloved in the locker room. I know he's underrated. I know he gets a lot of hate and a lot of flack from especially non-San Francisco 49er fans, but I'm going to have to say no. And that's not a knock on Jimmy Garoppolo. The only reason why I would say no is because we know what we're getting with the Jimmy G. And he could be the reason why a team is held back from winning the Super Bowl, as was evident a couple years ago against the Chiefs, right? And so I'm not saying that we can't win without him, but we do know that there's a ceiling with him. And I don't know if that ceiling is Super Bowl. And so because of that, Ryan Wilson is asking, would you trade the number 9 pick to Philly for the 15th and 51st pick? So the way that I look at that is I think Seattle could actually trade number 9 to Philly for 16 and 19, also in addition or alongside of our 42nd pick, or excuse me, 41st. And so just to reiterate, I think Seattle can trade and should trade number 9 overall. Obviously, if there's a Kayvon Thibodeau or a Sauce Gardner at number 9, maybe even an Evan Neal, Charles Cross. I know Evan Neal's going number 1 overall. I'm not saying that's realistic, but I'm just saying if there was a prospect that Seattle was in love with, okay, let's assume that there isn't a prospect on the board that Seattle's in love with. I would trade number 9 and 41st overall to Philadelphia for 15 and 19. And if there's additional framework that needs to be included, like if Seattle has to trade a future pick or another pick in this year's draft, I'm all for that. But I think two first round picks, 16 and 19 overall, I'd rather have that than number 9 and 51st, or the number 9, just because we know that Seattle is probably going to trade back anyway. And so why not try to recoup 2 first round picks if we were to trade back? I think Philadelphia, even after signing a Hassan Reddick, they can still use some additional pass rush. You can never hurt for pass rush. And so I think Philadelphia is definitely a prime candidate to potentially trade back with. Benjamin Jarvis, Geno Smith last put up a 128.3 QBR. Why are we even talking about anyone else? Well, this is where context comes into play because that 128.3 QBR came against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And they just so happen to have the first overall pick in this year's draft. They also had it last year. And I think that alone is all you need to know. That's not a knock on Geno. I'm not saying that he can only perform against the Jacksonville Jaguars. But what I am trying to say is that I think once you add a little bit of context, the 128.3 doesn't look nearly as appealing. Just my opinion, though. Let me see. Zuko Zamba. What Seahawks playoff loss in the Russ era had you the most heated besides the Super Bowl? For me, it's the wild card against Cowboys in 2018, 2019. Man, that's a great question, bro. I think for me, that's definitely up there. But I'm gonna have to go with 2019 and where we lost in the divisional round to the Green Bay Packers. You know, we didn't have Chris Carson. We didn't have any running backs. That's all we had. Marshawn Lynch. But we weren't that far off. You know, I definitely feel like if we had a healthy Chris Carson, we could have beaten the Green Bay Packers. And we would have definitely fared better against the Niners in the playoffs, just because we know what Aaron Rodgers does and doesn't do against San Fran. And we all know what we do against San Fran. And so, yeah, I'm going to have to go with that just because I really feel like we could have beaten San Fran and we could have been in the Super Bowl. Or am I tripping? Let me know what you guys think. Brian Roberts in the house. What's going on, bro? Honestly, do you see Russ winning 3 or 4 Super Bowls with Denver? So I actually voted on a poll earlier today, and I was asked that same question. My answer, 2. Yes, you agree with that loss. That one had me steaming. Right. Right. That dude, right. Let me see. We'll probably be on here for another 4 more minutes, y'all, unless you guys have more questions. I'm kind of going back right now to review some of the questions from earlier or some of the comments from earlier. Happy Monday/Tuesday. Andrew, we know Locke isn't our guy. We will get another quarterback to lead us to the promised land. I think that's very possible. Oh, Payo, my man Payo. I don't even know if he's still tuned in, but he had a question from earlier. Let's see. How many times did Pete Carroll say second chance in one presser? I don't know. I was taking notes, but even I lost count. Even I lost track. So I don't know how many times he said it, but that was definitely a point of emphasis. That was definitely something I found myself writing down over and over and over and over again. I mean, my gosh. Let me see. 519 Adventures. Hey, I got to say what's up to you, bro. What's going on, bro? Thank you so much for taking the time with us. My guy Jeremiah eating dinner, watching. Thank you. Should go get Minshew and have a swagger off. Hey, I'm offered trading for a Gardner Minshew. You know, I don't think that he would significantly up, at least as far as the wins department for the Seattle Seahawks next year. And I think he could be had for maybe a 3rd or a 4th round pick. So I'd say if Philadelphia is interested in potentially trading him for a draft pick, I'm all for Seattle taking him. You did know Matt Ryan's on the Colts now. I'm kind of surprised. Yes. And I know he didn't look all that good last year in Atlanta, but no doubt about it. He's an upgrade over Carson Wentz. And I hope they give him some receivers in the draft. I hope they find him a left tackle because once they do that, hey, I think they're sneaky contenders in the AFC. I'll say that much. Andrew. Seahawks Eddie. I don't know if I gave you a shout out earlier, bro, but what's up? Let me see. Yo, those headphones looking crazy, bro. Hey, I appreciate that, bro. This ain't a sponsor or nothing, but Bose brand. Wow, cool guys. Yo, those headphones looking fly, my God. Nice headphones. Hey, you know when it's white, it looks better. You know what I mean? I feel like with white shoes, white clothes, white cars, you know, a lot of things look better in white. And so, Amanda, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Julian, how's it going? I'm feeling wonderful. I'm feeling blessed. I'm ecstatic right now. I'm thrilled to be able to spend some time with you guys over in the audience, in the chat. Again, thank you from the bottom of my heart. For real. Each and every single one of you guys. Each and every single one of those 3,170 subscribers. For real. Thank you. Malik. Okay, so you want a Malik Willis. Let me see. Get those cash check cards. Will the seats at Lumen Field be empty this year or will it be full? Well, no, hold on. Just because Seattle's not going to be a very good football team next year, or at least that's what a lot of people are kind of looking at it as, that does not mean that the stadium is not going to be full. Because I can remember in the pre-Russ days when we had Lamar Jackson, when we had Clipboard Jesus and a Charlie Whitehurst, stands, people were still filling up the stands, filling up the stadiums. And so I don't think that with Seattle being in the position that they're in right now, I don't think that that's going to hurt attendance. Bogart, hey, bro, I apologize. I didn't really have much of an opportunity to say what's up. I was kind of operating, it was a little strict as far as the time. And so that's able to bring up comments from earlier. But Lock signature maneuvers, roll out to his right and throw out jacket. Oh, man, I was happy. Hey, bro, you just had to bring that up, man. Good evening, fellas. But hey, my brother. Hey, for those of you guys out there, though, real quick, if you play fantasy football, right here, the GMM Network, you gotta follow him, man. That's my brother right there. Yes, he's a San Francisco 49ers fan. For those of you guys that might have tuned in to my Russell Wilson live stream, but hey, he's one of the coolest ones around. He's good people, so please show my brother some love, man. I mean, he's a good quarterback. He's really good with Missouri Tigers, but IDK would start a spot is for him in the NFL. I mean, it's not like he's going to be terrible. I just don't know. That's valid. Do you want Jimmy G? I think we already addressed that. Well said, Bump. Oh, my sister tuned in. Thank you. Thank you, Chick. Lori, I don't know if you're still tuned in, but Miss Lori Cross, thank you for joining us. And I hope you're having a great evening. I hope you had a great dinner. Thanks for spending some time with us. Nick LeBeau, bro, I don't know if you're still tuned in, but thank you so much for tuning in, little bro. Hey, Seattle Sports Talk, all social media platforms. This young man right here is only 14 years old and knows a lot more Seahawks and football and sports than a lot of grown men, than a lot of grown women. And so definitely be sure to show him some love at Seattle Sports Talk, all social media platforms. Give my man some love, man. Nick LeBeau right here. Special kid. What do you think they'd have to give up to get Minshew? The cap hit would only be $2.5 million. I don't know if you heard my answer at the dude, but like I said, I think it's just a third or fourth round pick. Maybe, I guess if I'm leaning towards one answer, a third round pick, just because there's still a couple of quarterback vacancies across the league. And I feel like Philadelphia, they'd want to engage in a bidding war, at least with some of these teams that still need a quarterback. So I think a third round pick will get it done. Lori Cross, well said. I'm going to give Drew a chance. How can anyone be upset over a player who's never played here? I'm backing him 100%. That's the spirit. I agree. Chosen one. Well said, Brian. And he said a lot of things just beautifully. So I don't even know which one you're referring to at the chosen one, but you could probably comment to that throughout the show, and I wouldn't have been able to tell the difference. That's how much he was speaking as far as facts, right? Him and Bump. I don't know if you guys listen to Bump, but I also listen to him almost every day, or at least whenever he's on with Jake and Stacy. I love that podcast, love that show. And just the opportunity to be able to chop it up with him, it's surreal. It's surreal. Baker does have a playoff when a lot of starting quarterbacks in the NFL can't say that. Agreed. I agree. I didn't care about Drew's game, but he seemed honest during his interview, pretty laid back, and doesn't seem to be stressed, which is definitely, I feel like, a good trait to have, especially as a quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks. I'd rather just let Locke, Geno, maybe a guy like Minshew or a rookie battle out. Don't think anyone we're going to get this year is going to be our future guy, draft or free agency. We've talked about that before. Baker isn't coming here. Watch, he will be picked up by a losing team and get a contract. That's so insane. These salary contracts last week are ridiculously crazy. No doubt, no doubt. Hey, Flex Network, I don't know if you guys are still here, but what's going on, bro? I actually just did a show with them this morning. And so please give them a follow, man. All social media platforms. Follow them on YouTube if you want to catch my appearance on their latest episode at the Flex Network. But hey, I appreciate y'all for taking the time to join us, man. I really appreciate that. And shout out to Seahawks Martin, man. How did I miss your comments, Seahawks Martin? I'm so sorry, bro. I am so sorry. But it's been a long time since I had the opportunity to talk football with you. Thank you so much for taking the time and join us. I really appreciate that, bro. I hope you're having a great evening, though, and I hope you're having a great dinner. And then Colin, I think I said what's up at the beginning, but if I didn't, bro, how are you doing? It's been way too long. Matter of fact, you got to hop on the show one of these days, bro. He's definitely one of the brightest young men that I know as well. He knows so much as far as sports go. And he needed to be on the show. Colin, if you're still tuned in, hit me up on Instagram, but let's schedule something. Ryan Wilson, we don't need a superstar quarterback. We need a consistent game manager that moves the chains. Tampa Bay trading Steve Young to the 49ers was good. Change of scenery. Corey Davis, this is your first super chat. Thank you so much for doing that, bro. I greatly appreciate that for real, from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. Let's see. How's Pop and Lock's Drew dancing rate? Hey, bro, you can never look stupid in them fresh suits to be rocking, my bro. LOL. Bogart. Thank you, my brother. Thank you. That's love. That's love. Rashad Penny made the O-line look good. Now, that's a hot take, Mr. Ron Kelly. Love tuning in this show. Booming. Y'all preaching for real. Thanks for the shout out, Steezy. Y'all make sure to hit that sub button before you miss a hot upload. Hey, I just want to say, though, before I do sign off in the next couple of minutes, I will address some of the later comments. I didn't forget y'all. Squabo says, man, I've been trying to get my mans to 1,000. We've been trying to do this for some time now. So please, y'all, if you aren't subscribed, I'm pretty sure most of y'all, majority of you guys know who Squabo says is. He currently attends Washington State University. But hey, he's also the future of sports broadcasting, of sports journalism, of the sports media. So please. And he's also the director of the TV station over there. He's been putting in work. He's been doing that alongside YouTube. He's been in a plethora of classes. But please, yo, hit that subscribe, follow him on all socials. And while you're at that, be sure to follow me on Instagram. Be sure to follow me on Twitter. Same handle, Steezy A. Smith. I've been working to put out a lot more content, not just on YouTube, but on Twitter, on Instagram, Facebook, if you want to add me as well, Steezy A. Smith. I do want to be able to talk to you guys, on a more regular basis, and I feel like outside of live streams, I don't get a chance to really do that as much. So Instagram, Twitter, again, handle is going to be right here, Steezy A. Smith. And yo, just because I said it with Colin, but if you want to hop or if you want to win a chance to hop on a future show, hit me up. Follow me on Instagram. Send me a DM and let's chop it up. I would love to be able to bring you guys on. And I do have my Discord channel in the link or in the description. Maybe not in this video, but in other videos. So if you guys want to join that, I think, I don't know, eventually I want to be able to work with Discord just so I can have callers on the show and whatnot. Let me know what you guys think of that. It is Steezy World, and I'm trying to remember. It was Eric, I think. So, Eric, I don't know if you're tuned in, but him and Nick LeBeau, those were the guys responsible for making that Discord for me. So, I really appreciate that, for real. Let me see. Bump is 100% right. Wilson wanted to throw the ball deep too much. We just need to run the plays that move the chains and let our guys get yak. We misuse our tight ends. Glad we have fan, but concerned about how much we will feed him. I think that's valid. Brian killing it. Oh, sure. Okay, there's been a bunch of comments ever since I started scrolling up. So let me just address these real quick. And then at about 8:00 p.m., so in about 3 minutes, I'm gonna get ready to sign off. So if you guys want to get in any last questions and comments, get them in now because I'm gonna reply and answer each and every single one of them. Let me see. That dude, Steezy, what do you think Hawks should do with remaining cap space, and how would they be able to address the glaring holes? If they took Mayfield's cap hit via trade, the draft, I feel like I don't think Baker is gonna go to Seattle, by the way, but let's say he was. I think that Seattle would. Man, I don't know. That's tough, bro. If they were to take Baker's contract, so we have about 30+ million in cap space right now. Last time I checked, according to Spotrac. So if we were to take him in, let's just round it up to 20 mil. We would only have about 10 to 15 million left in cap space, but then we would need about 8 to 10 million for our incoming rookies. And so if we were to bring in a Baker Mayfield, we actually would not have that much cap space left because we do have to take into account we are taking a dead money cap hit from the Russell Wilson trade, from the release of a Carlos Dunlap. And there's actually a stat that I took note of earlier today. Let me find it real quick. But it's in regards to Seattle and their dead cap space. Let me see. Oh, okay. So the Seahawks have 44 million in dead money this coming season, third in the NFL. That's unprecedented in Seattle. As you guys know, I mean, Seattle, when it comes to the cap, they're brilliant. I feel like as far as that goes. And so, yeah, that dude, if we were to bring in a Baker Mayfield, we wouldn't have any sort of cap space at all. And so I think that would kind of limit what we can do moving forward. And that's actually one of the reasons why I'm against bringing in the Baker Mayfield. Although I wouldn't be completely opposed to it. Let's not get that twisted. Benjamin Jarvis is asking, they really like Geno in that last press conference. Do you think he will be re-signed soon? I'd say sometime by the end of this week. Yeah, he'll be re-signed. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens tomorrow, honestly. Golden Seahawk. Colin, I think you're still tuned in, bro. If you're still tuned in, if you want to hop on a future show, bro, hit me up. And look, Colin and I were real cool. I met him through NorbCam. And so to those of you guys listening, I'm not trying to, show off any sort of favoritism at all, but Colin is somebody that I know. So, but again, though, if you do want to hop on a future show, follow me on Instagram, follow me on Twitter at Steezy A. Smith, and send me a DM. Ryan Wilson, them headphones are clean. Thank you, bro. No Baker, ride with lock. 100. Trying to make out what Sonic's jersey that is. Oh, okay, hold on. 35. That's KD, y'all. KD. I was reading the number wrong. You were right. Spot on. The stadium's regularly sold out since 1976. It isn't going to be empty this year. Exactly. Let me see. I don't care if we win 6 games. Just sweep the Niners, LOL. Hey, I feel like it'd still be a somewhat successful season if we was to sweep the Niners. So 100%. Going on. Oh. Okay, all right. Just had to check a little something on the phone. Corey Davis, did you watch NorbCam's funny Russell Wilson press conference? So I actually got to see a little bit of it, but I didn't get the chance to actually finish it. So that's definitely something I will look to do real soon. I did hear that's real funny, so we'll see where that goes. Brett Walden, damn, Steezy, you seen the Niners want 2 second rounds for Jimmy G and the Browns want a first for Baker? All right, I did see that, and if that's gonna be the case, they're going to keep those guys on the roster because nobody's trading a first for Baker, given the circumstances, given the leverage that he has. And for Jimmy G, okay, if a team gets desperate, if there's injuries come training camp or sometime within the next couple of months, if a team isn't going to get a guy that they like at quarterback in the draft, then I could see that. But I was even thinking that a second-round pick would be a little too much for Jimmy G. I was thinking a third-rounder would get it done. But again, quarterbacks are at a premium in the NFL, so we'll see what happens there. Thanks, Steezy, promoting you, G. Ryan Wilson, bro. I really appreciate that, bro. Thank you so much. Colin, bro, I'd love to be on the show. Hey, Colin, feeling is mutual. Likewise, I would love for you to be on the show. And I think I'm already starting to come up with a few ideas as to how I want that show to go, who I want on that show. Colin, send me a DM. Geno Smith praying he gets to be a QB1. Hey, Pete Carroll's mantra. It's all about competition, right? So if he were to engage in the quarterback competition with the Drew Lock, or let's say with the rookie that Seattle hopefully brings in, and if he wins that competition, then more power to him. Yes, I wouldn't mind if he's the QB1, just because I do still feel like he has a lot of things to prove to a lot of people, especially to all the 12s out there. Ryan Kelly, love the show. Thank you so much, bro. All right, respect. Hey, Team Steezy, man, you know what it is, man. Y'all see that right there, Team Steezy. You know the vibes. Thank you so much, man. That doesn't account for rookie contracts. Boom. Ninth pick, first quarterback drafted is, man, I think, well, Carolina really likes Kenny Pickett, and they're picking at 6th overall. I don't think they're going to get a Jimmy G or a Baker, but unless that does happen, then I think the first quarterback that gets taken off the board is going to be at 8th overall. I think Atlanta, they did bring in a Marcus Mariota, but actually, no, we don't even know that for sure. I don't know. Honestly, that's a great question, bro. I'm going to just say Carolina, 6th overall. Rodgers to Seattle. Getting Dean with 9th pick, in my opinion. Okay. But, hey, national champs, and I'm not going to read that last word, but, hey, bro, thank you so much for joining us. They can keep him for those picks. LOL, Jimmy Baker, like 4th or 5th round picks. Hey, I don't disagree. Honestly, they're starting quarterbacks in the NFL, but we know that a team is very limited, or at least we know that their potential isn't very high with those guys at quarterback. And so, yeah, I'd have to agree. I think a Minshew Lock competition will bring out the best of both of them. Feels like a win-win. 100%. I agree 100%. I might even do a breakdown on Gardner Minshew and why he might just be a great fit for the Seattle Seahawks. If you guys want to see that, drop a couple of yeses. Just because if that's not something that you guys want to see, then that's probably not something I want to break down. We'll see. We could wait till next year for a quarterback, in my opinion, Bryce Young, CJ, or JT. 100%. I mean, maybe not 100%. I kind of was subscribed to that notion initially, but also at the same time, I'd want Seattle to play feisty, to win games that they're not expected to win, to be that thorn. You know what I mean? So we'll see. I think whatever happens next year as it pertains to the Seahawks, it's going to be a win-win regardless. I'll watch. Thank you. Okay, well, you know what? Just because you said yes, yes, I will do a Gardner Minshew video, whether that's a live stream or an episode wholly dedicated to Gardner Minshew. Just because you said yes, I'll watch that dude. It'll be coming soon. Jamari Saw, you're so nasty. Hey, but I'm not even gonna lie, but I haven't done all my draft homework yet. So there are a couple of guys I'm not exactly familiar with. JP Brewer from Facebook. Minshew will be awesome. Yeah, I think with Minshew, I mean, he has a 41-12 touchdown to INT ratio. And I think that's something that would be very, very appealing to a guy like a Pete Carroll who wants to emphasize ball control and not turn the football over. So yeah, 100%. I think it's spot on. Minshew versus Locke. Swagger off. I'm here for it. That dude. Come on. Hey, that dude, you're that dude. RP Wrangler, but hey, thanks for taking the time to join us, bro. Do you like Minshew over Jordan? 100? What? 1,000%. 1,000%. Yes, 1,000%. Has only allowed one sack this season. Pass rushers he's faced: Aiden Hutchinson, Will Anderson, David Ojabo, Kingsley. I can't say his last name. I'm sorry. Miles Murphy. Hey, bro, if he's as good as you say he is, I'm all for it, bro. I think with Seattle, I'd love for them to just draft the best player available. Maybe not necessarily on their board, just because their board is always a lot different than everybody else's. But look, we just need a talent infusion in Seattle. Can we all agree on that? Benjamin Jar, Jesus loves you all. Have a blessed night. Benjamin, God bless you, my brother. Thank you so much for all glory to God. All glory to God. Without God, I wouldn't be doing the show today, honestly. So Benjamin, thank you for spreading such a kind message. Jesus loves you all. Yes, he does. Okay, look, I think we all forgot that Russell Wilson has not a blue chip. He was not the number one draft pick. He was not the best quarterback of his draft. He got it done for the Seahawks. Yeah, and nobody's denying that. I just think that in this year's draft, I just don't know if we could find, another Russell Wilson type. We'll see. Unless it's a Malik Willis, but obviously he'd have to be drafted in the first round. We'll see what happens, though. That breaks down to 342. That's the top 5 in the league stat. Yeah, exactly. But I just don't think that he has enough. Does he qualify, though, for the leaderboard at that dude? Do you know? There we go. How to find you on YouTube. It's better than FB Live. Hey, bro, I don't know how long you've been tuned in, bro, but we're actually about to wrap the show up. And so I'm sorry if you didn't get a chance to tune in on YouTube earlier, but I really appreciate you for taking the time, bro. Honestly, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. New Skyline Productions, thank you for taking the time to join us. I have an honest feeling Brown's going to offer us a 5th-round pick to get Mayfield. If we get another pick, I'm all for it. I'm sorry, bro, but with all due respect, I think the team that Cleveland is trading Baker Mayfield to is going to have to be the one that gives up a 1st-round pick, or not a 1st-round pick, but any sort of draft pick compensation whatsoever, even though Cleveland does have, even though Cleveland doesn't have leverage over that situation, I don't think they're going to have to attach a draft pick just to get rid of him. I honestly don't. I just tuned in. I did follow and turn notifications on for your lives. Hey, Just Phil, thank you so much, bro. I don't know if you're aware, but we had Mr. Michael Bumpus tune in earlier. He works for 710 ESPN Seattle. He's also a Root Sports Analyst, Pac-12 host. He's a trainer, a personal trainer. He does everything, man. He also was a former Seahawks wide receiver, and so, man, that was a blast. If you have a chance, bro, definitely go back, though, and you don't have to watch it live, obviously, once the live is over, but definitely go back and see some of those thoughts that they put out there. They were definitely spitting facts. So I feel like you don't want to miss that. That dude, okay, so that's over 800 attempts. Most quarterbacks can't hit that in a single season. Average, no doubt about that. Hey, thanks for pulling that up, bro. I really appreciate that. I think with Gardner Minshew, though, I think he's underrated. And in Jacksonville, he was doing a lot, despite, the lack of anything really around him. Yeah, he had a James Robinson, I think, a couple of years ago. But, yeah, for the most part, he didn't have a lot to work with. So I think he'd be a wonderful addition to Seattle, as long as the capital isn't too high. Now, if Philly's asking for like a 2nd-round pick, no, I'd refrain from that. I agree, though. Russell Wilson isn't available in every draft. He was a special player that came up in a special way, but I think that the franchise that built him is still there. Oh, no doubt. But I also feel like a lot of teams, they're not looking at quarterbacks of his stature anymore, and they're not just completely writing them off their boards. You know what I mean? I think with what he's done, we've seen Kyler Murray get drafted #1 overall, despite being about my height, about 5'9", 5'10". And so I think with Russell Wilson, he's definitely kind of changed how draft evaluators look at shorter quarterbacks. I'll rewatch the whole video. Sounds interesting. Thank you, Bob. I really appreciate that. You'll definitely pick up on a whole lot of nuggets. I mean, these guys are speaking straight facts. That's what I said on FB Live. Minshew would be a great pickup. Yes, you did. I did see that. Mayfield is a dead end. They want too much for him, and he costs too much. Exactly. Like, yeah, he's going to help us win games this year, but I think we know the ceiling that we're going to have if he's our starting quarterback. Not only that, 27 years old. We're not winning a Super Bowl with Baker Mayfield. Not now, not next year. And so what's the point of giving up capital, a second or a third round pick? And on top of that, we'd have to give him a new contract extension. I'm just not very. See, the more that I talk about it, the more that I talk myself out of it. Now I don't want Baker Mayfield in Seattle at all. I don't know, y'all. I don't know. There's a lot of fans out there that are kind of clamoring for him, though. So we'll see what happens. Look at how that wide receiver course production dropped with Lawrence taking over. Minshew elevated them. His cap hits only $2.5 million, so cheap. Right. I mean, that is a byproduct of him being drafted in later rounds. So. Yeah, I mean, whatever team employs him next year, they're definitely going to be getting him for a bargain, even if he is a backup, just because even backup quarterbacks still get paid. So 100%. I wonder what they're asking for Mayfield. I'd personally prefer the stash over Mayfield. 100%. Not only would the cost to acquire him, not only would that be much cheaper, but we wouldn't have to pay him the exorbitant amount of dollars that Baker Mayfield is reportedly looking for. And if I'm not mistaken, I did read an article today, and where Bleacher Report, I think it was Bleacher Report, they put out a report stating that Baker could potentially fetch a first, or that Cleveland was looking to get a first. No way that's happening. No way. Agreed to stash over Mayfield. I think a 2023 wouldn't be asking too much either. Right. I'm with that. No, Mayfield, the best move is not to sign him. I agree. All right, y'all. I'm about to wrap this up, though. I do got to go. To everybody that tuned in, to everybody that was tuned in throughout the entirety of the show, we've been live for almost 2 hours now. I expected this show just to go on for an hour, but here we are, an hour and 41 minutes in. You know what they say. Time flies when you're having fun, right? So, again, to the Team Steezy family, yo, thank you so much. Hey, my guy Kevin Sray. Hey, good looking for tuning in, my brother. How you doing, bro? Have a good night. I'll see you next time if I'm off work. Stay safe and healthy. Hey, likewise, Phil. Take it easy, bro. Take it easy, that dude. I don't think it was just a shorter stature. I don't think he was recognized and respected as what he ended up being. And to that respect, there's one of those players in every draft. Oh, of course. But it's also all about what team do they land on? What kind of a situation are they find themselves in? Teammates, coaching staff, or whatnot. We'll see. All right, Josh, take it easy. Later on, Steezy, I'll set my notifications on for your next live. Thank you, bro. I hope you have a great rest of your night. Sleep good tonight. But as I was saying, no, we've been live for almost 2 hours, so I do got to wrap this up, y'all. But please don't forget to hit that notification bell. You know, I am looking to drop more, not just lives, but also just regular segments as well. So that you guys don't miss another episode or live, be sure to turn on that notification bell like that dude just said. I'm gonna leave it up there for y'all just to kind of remind you guys before we wrap this up. But yeah, again, please follow me on Instagram, on Twitter at Steezy Smith. You can expect regular content, daily content on there. I know I'm not on YouTube every single day, and so if you guys want to interact, if you guys want to chop it up, anything about sports, be sure to follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Steezy Smith. Been working very diligently to increase the following on there, so I really appreciate it, guys. And again, don't just turn on that notification bell. If you're not subscribed and if you're tuned in, please, y'all, hit that subscribe for me. We're on the road to 4,000. And I know the support from you guys has been huge. It's been tremendous. And I'm not trying to sound like I'm greedy or anything, but, you know, I am on this journey. We are on this road to 4K. So we'd greatly appreciate each and every single sub, for real. I agree, but the more I listen to you, the more I think about it. Baker Mayfield is all wrong. You know who I would like to see? Matt Ryan come in on a 2-year contract. See, with Matt Ryan, this is the last thing I'll say before I wrap this up. I feel like with a Matt Ryan, we kind of, like, where are we going next year? Oh, your Discord link says expired, by the way. Damn it. Okay, let me, I'll work on that. Thanks for bringing that to my attention, Phil. But I think with a Matt Ryan, though, I didn't think that was very feasible. I mean, because if you were to bring in a Matt Ryan, then it's like, okay, so are we expecting to make the playoffs next year? I wasn't really all for that. I am happy for him in Indianapolis, though. I hope he balls out. Would have been bad money if y'all got Matt Ryan. Hey, well, he would have had the best set of weapons he's ever had, right? And so I don't know if that would have been a terrible idea. I just think that kind of locks us into the playoffs next year, but it wouldn't really guarantee us anything more than that. Hey, on and off the field, man, I wish you guys would have joined earlier because I'm just now about to wrap this up, but thank you guys so much for tuning in. You said, give me Jimmy G. Well, we're going to have to save that discussion for another day because I'm not with that. He's the actual 2-year contract quarterback. I agree. Matt Ryan would have been great on a 2-year contract. I don't think I'd want him anymore for that. Any more than that, and we develop and draft a quarterback. Yeah, I mean, taking a Matt Ryan or acquiring a Matt Ryan, we still would have been able to, we would have had the luxury of having a quarterback to kind of groom behind him. But like I said, though, to make a playoff appearance, a one-and-done playoff appearance, I'm just not really for that, Big thing about Matty Ice is that quick release. Yes, but he's also just very immobile. I know you don't have to be a mobile quarterback to succeed in this league. I don't know. I think the ceiling is low. I'll be here for the next 2 hours, but I'll go back and watch the last 2 hours. I love it that I got you. I'll be here next time. Hey, free truth, bro. Thank you so much, bro. I hope you have a great night. It's an unpopular opinion, but I'll be here for the next show. Hey, but Brody, thank you so much for taking the time to join us, bro. I'll look forward to the next show. Hopefully you're on there. And actually, hey, we got to talk some Hawks too. I got to get you on the show here one of these days. So definitely look forward to that. But to everybody out there, to the Team Steezy family, I just want to say God bless you guys. As always, all glory to God. I love you guys for real. If you aren't already, hit that subscribe, hit the notification bell, follow on all socials, Instagram and Twitter. I hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Thank you for spending it with me. It's been an honor. It's been a pleasure. This has been your host, Calvin Domingo, a.k.a. Steezy A. Smith, signing out. Peace. Again, this video is going to be dedicated to Mr. Todd Nas. While that concludes this video, we have loads of other content. You don't have to stop watching there. Other content on our channel homepage, as well as our social media platforms. And again, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for us. Tell a friend and tell a friend. Nothing but love.